A lot of people out there will have started boxing because they was kind of like too confident, too energetic, bit of a bully, and they got steered towards boxing to keep themselves out of trouble. It's almost like imposter syndrome when you don't feel as though you're good enough to be in the company of other people. It doesn't have to be people that was like celebrated. It can be normal people, just very introverted.
Your whole plan was to learn how to fight and protect yourself. And
my generation was things like Karate Kid, right? Original Ralph Macchio Karate Kid. My idea was I was going to start boxing. I was going to go and pick them all off one by one and beat off everyone that used to beat me up at school. That was my idea. That's why I got into boxing.
So what's your take on that? Prince Naseem's live.
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited because that's my era.
We are at the infamous Coldwell gym here with Mr. Dave Coldwell, prestigious trainer. He trained a few guys that you might know, actually, the likes of Derek Chisora. Dave, how you doing? You all right? Talk to us.
I'm good. Pleasure to have you in the gym, in the ring.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave, so for us, we've known a bit about your career so far. We'll start off at the beginning. Something that you are, I've watched a few interviews already of you, and I've seen your record on BoxRec. I'm guessing, yes, you were getting used to the fighting world. You're 6-13 on your boxing record, but as I watched something online about your boxing career, it sounded like to me, and you did say you have no regrets about it. You loved every moment of it. You said something along the lines, you lost 8 of your first amateur fights, but you were just looking forwards for that one win, just to see how it feels, and to even get into the ring was a massive thing. Can you tell us a bit about your...
A lot of people out there will have started boxing for confidence. A lot of people out there will have started boxing because they was kind of like too confident, too energetic, bit of a bully, and they got steered towards boxing to keep themselves out of trouble. I was part of the clan that got into boxing because I was the weakling, the one that had zero confidence, the one that the bullying and the piss taking all the way through the school lives. So when you're somebody that's got no confidence at all, and I mean, as in, I wouldn't even be able to speak to people. I was like anybody. I'd start sweating, and somebody if you'd seen even on TV or anything like that. The first time when I first started going to the gym and stuff, the guys that were names in the gym back then, Bomber Graham, Johnny Nelson, people like that, Slugger O'Toole, just start sweating when they talk to you. I was that kind of kid where I didn't feel as though, it's almost like imposter syndrome when you don't feel as though you're good enough to be in the company of other people. It doesn't have to be people that was like celebrated. It can be normal people. I was just very introverted. But that was because of what I went through as a child. So me finding my way into boxing, having this dream of kind of like changing my life, that was a dream to start off with, change my life. As in, like, you can't allow yourself to be this introverted, insecure and scared person, because it's all right at 15, but when you become an adult and you've got a child yourself, you're walking down the street and, what are you going to do? How do you protect your kid? How do you, what kind of persona do you project onto your child? So I started boxing, and same as everybody else when they start, not very good. But I was the kind of kid that I was actually good in the gym, picked it up really well, because when I put my mind at something, I throw myself completely in it. That's it. That's my life. And so I studied it. I did everything that I was told in the gym. I'd be in there first, out there last, every single day. But then when it came to time, right, okay, you're fighting, when it came to things like that where you need the confidence, that's where I was lacking. And I would walk to the ring thinking, what are you doing? Are you stupid? You get beat up every day. What are you doing? You're going to get bashed. And all these alarm bells would be going off in my mind, and I'd literally be terrified walking to the ring. But I'd get in the ring, and I'd go through it, and I'd lose. And I lost on points, get beat. People say, oh, if you threw more punches, That was because a break comes on, mate, and people that that don't have confidence, it's same as football, same as anything else, same as singers or whatever. You get in front of a camera, perhaps first time you started doing this, you get in front of the camera, you got this idea, I'm going to do this, I'm going to say this, blah, blah, blah. Camera goes on, action, there you go. You start, you put a freeze.
Happened a few times, yeah.
Well, that can happen in boxing. And it's all about confidence. It doesn't matter what it is in life that you're doing. If you lack the confidence, you put a brake on yourself. And then you start overthinking it, and then you start putting more pressure on yourself, and then the weight comes more, and then you just fold inside yourself until you learn how to push these sort of feelings back.
Did you
that's
think?
What happened with me?
Wow, that's crazy to be fair. Did you think? Was it maybe a sense of your whole plan was to learn how to fight and protect yourself, and was your plan even to get into the ring to become a boxer in the first place?
No. So I'm old, right? Apparently, numbers-wise, I'm old. I'm 49 soon, right? My generation was things like Karate Kid, right? Original Ralph Macchio Karate Kid. Film about a kid that's not very, gets bullied, gets into fights, gets battered, takes up karate and thinks, right, I'm going to start. And he starts beating up the guys that beat him up, right?
Yeah.
My idea was I was going to start boxing. I was going to go and pick them all up one by one and beat up everyone that used to beat me up at school. That was my idea. That's why I got into boxing. But then what boxing does is it grabs hold of you. It teaches you discipline, but it also gives you actually an inner peace and an inner confidence where you don't actually need to do shit like that. So you might have those ideas to start off with, and this is where people that don't want it in schools and all this stuff, right? Oh, you're creating bullies, you're creating monsters, and people that are going to be violent. No, it completely takes that out because you're putting all your efforts into the gym, on the bags, on the pad, the floor, the concentration it takes on the footwork, the discipline it takes for you to spend hours just on the footwork before you can even get in the ring. You're spending all that energy in there. When you get out of the gym, mate, you're shattered. The last thing you want to do is to go out and fight on the street. Right? You want to come and rest, right? But also, those emotions of violence, those emotions of frustration and what's going on in your life, it kind of releases that. So then, because you're more at peace, you're quite happy to do all that sort of stuff in here. So you don't need to go out there and do that. And that's what happened. And I fell in love with boxing. I can't explain to you how much it changed my life.
Question is though, have you ever bumped into those people that bullied you back in the day?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing because you're still within a vicinity of the area where you grew up in.
No, I'm not. No, I moved out. I moved out. I don't.
Is it?
But I'm still around Sheffield, aren't I?
Cool.
So, the funny thing is, in this day and age of social media, is you put up a post where you've done something quite successful. Things have worked out. And you always get that one comment, always knew you'd make it, pal. And it's like, yeah, all right, mate, all right. When people found out that I started boxing, I kept it quiet. And then somebody, because I went to Brendan Ingles' gym, and then somebody saw me waiting in a bus stop. And as I'm waiting at the bus stop outside where the gym is, you just walk down there. Everybody knows if you're at that bus stop, you got a bag on you, you've been at Brendan's gym. And I remember turning up at school the next day, and everyone was taking a piss that, I think this is a boxer. I was like, oh, shit.
Here we go.
And they were all taking piss and all taking bets, bet it lasts 2 weeks, bet it lasts a month, whatever, do you know what I mean? I think this is my 34th year in boxing, so I think I outlasted the bets.
You've done pretty well. Yeah. Are you still getting those messages now? Always do you make it? Or you've seen someone that knows someone that would be like, I used to go to school with him. Or
everybody, to be fair, people grow up, people change, don't they?
Of course they do.
I'll be honest with you, the majority of people that made my life hell at school, you get to find out, and there's a lot of people that went down the bad path, and a lot of people in and out of rehab and things like that, and getting mixed up in drugs and things. So people got their own lives to worry about, and then others they grow up and you realise, I was a bit of a prick at school, and nobody ever said anything, but they've gone on. You can't hold that
No.
fire and that aggression towards people and upset towards people, because that actually made me. So I wouldn't have started boxing if I hadn't gone through that. So I don't regret anything. I don't regret anything
So
in my
basically,
life. Do you know what I mean?
in a way, you thank them for it because they pushed you to that
yeah,
side.
because otherwise I won't be where I'm at now. You won't be in here. This wouldn't be my building. This wouldn't be my. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have done what I've done in boxing, because I wouldn't have started boxing.
Most definitely.
If I hadn't have gone through what I did as a kid.
So most people, from my interviews now, what I always see, a lot of the boxers or boxing coaches have come from the infamous Ingle Gym. And the Ingle Gym is massive within the boxing community, especially whether it's in Sheffield or whether it's, I feel like it's known throughout the whole world with all the fighters. Yeah. What does the Ingle Gym mean to you?
It's my go-to. It's my sanctuary. It was my safe place. I didn't feel safe at school. I didn't feel safe at home. I didn't enjoy being at school. And at junior school, yes. At comp, no. Secondary school, no. At home, no. In that boxing gym, I loved it. Trained twice a day. I was in there at 7 o'clock in the morning, then I was in there at 2:30 in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When I was at last bit at school, then it was straight after school. That was my safe place, and it's a lot of people's safe places throughout the years. Forget the fighters that you've heard of and the people that have gone on, that have left the gym to go on to work in the sport. Thousands of people, thousands of kids that have been in that gym over the 34 years that I've been involved in boxing. It's had an effect on their lives, where it's improved their lives going forward, where they might have been like me, where they had no confidence. Then all of a sudden, they've got a nice job. They held down a job. They're confident enough to do the job. Whereas when they was a kid, there was no hope from in that sort of regard. Then there's the other ones where they were bad kids, bad kids, and it straightened them out. Brendan was a very, very. Don't get me wrong. As you got older, a lot of people had then discover you, because you start living your own life, and then same as having parents, isn't it? When you're a kid, you listen and dote on everything that that your parents say, and as you start developing your own mind, you start thinking other things. You might want to do other things, and it's pulling away from what the parents trying to get you to guide you to. But sometimes you go through a phase where you don't listen, you think you know better, and then you fall out. But then as you get older, then you start sitting back and go, do you know what? Fucking hell, they were right. Not always, but that's how that can be. And that a boxing coach and a fighter can have the same sort of relationship, and fighters come and go. Fighters leave trainers. Fighters left Brendan's and me or whatever trainer. They do that, but that's part of growing up. You don't always agree, but you have to be able to look back and go, what did that do for me? What did my time in that gym do for me? My time in that gym, I spent 10 years in that gym, and I was in there literally every single day. They were my formative years, and they put me on the path towards being able to do what I do now. Not in a coaching sense or anything like that. Not in that sort of sense. Just in the fact that I was able to go from that kid that saw that there was no way out and saw that there was no future for me, to actually thinking, I can build a future for myself.
What is your fondest memory of Brendan Ingle? Because you were at that gym for 10 years. You must have some stories where you're fond of Brendan Ingle and stuff that he's taught you and what he said to you and stories along them lines.
Yeah, but there's loads. I mean, it's just
one that you remember that sticks with you.
Do you know what? There's not one memory as such. It's just memories put together of you'd walk in the gym and it's just the atmosphere. Those days in that gym were unbelievable. You'd have Naz, you'd have John A. Nelson, you'd have Slugger O'Toole, you'd have Clifton Mitchell, who was known as Big Paddy Riley at the time.
What was it called?
Because that was the name that Brendan gave him. Then you'd have Silky Jones, you'd have Martin Smith. Everybody's sparring in the ring and ripping the piss out of each other in the ring, and we'd get in with them, and you'd be sparring in with these guys that are British, Commonwealth, world champions, you know, they're your kind of role models. And you'd be in that ring with them every single day. Get out of the ring and then go about your own life. But while you're in that gym, you're the same as them. We walk out and they're on their pedestal or whatever. But while we were in that gym, we was the same. And then you'd hear Brendan's voice, you know, whether he's ripping the piss out of somebody or you know, with a strong Irish accent, or, you know, then he'd call you at the end of the spar and he'd chat. It might not even be talking to you about your spar. He'd be telling you about this fella down there and that fella. You see that fella over there and stuff like that. And it's just the whole time in the gym was quite special for a good number of years. Yeah, there's a lot of good times. Don't get me wrong, there's bad times, but there's a lot of good times, a lot.
So what do you make of? There's actually a Prince Naseem film being made right now.
So there should be. Yeah,
they've called it Giant. Pierce Brosnan is playing Brendan Ingle.
I saw the photo of Pierce Brosnan.
When you've got 007 playing Brendan Ingle, you know it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that? Prince Naseem's life?
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited because that's my era. You know, that is my era. That if you know, I came to that gym just before Nas's pro debut. He was in the process of turning pro, and I was there when he left. So yeah, it's great that they're going to make a film of it because that was around my time. You know.
Do you have any Nas stories that you can tell us? You share?
Not that I can tell on camera.
Come on, man. You can tell us that here, man.
No, I had some great memories. I went over to Atlantic City with him when he boxed Wayne McCulloch. I was, you know, in the hotels and part of the, you know, all the lads that went with him, entourage or what you want to call it. When, you know, with a lot of his fights, Daniel Garcia, Billy Ardy, stuff like that, walking out at that stage, you remember, you know, this is before any successes that I had in my own career. Just walking out as he's walking to fight, and you're part of the ring walk. And
was you part of the ring walk back then?
Yeah, and there's, you know, 20,000 fans screaming at.
Please tell me you were there when he had, like, even though he's going through stuff, or when P Diddy walked him out at one point. Were you there as well at that time?
I can't remember.
What fight that was, but he walked out with P Diddy, and that time.
No, I didn't walk out with him then, but I was there. I was there then. Yeah, I was there.
His walkouts, like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do anything like that till today.
Yeah. One of my favourite ones was, and it was quite controversial. A lot of people offended quite a few people. Was the Halloween Wayne McCulloch one at Atlantic City when he walks out to Thriller.
Oh, I remember that.
And I remember people complaining because obviously the fake graveyards and fake headstones, and there's a skull on a headstone. And he just stops, looks at the camera, and he looks away.
Yeah.
Well, apparently that offended a few people.
The people are soft, man.
Yeah, and that was back then. But yeah, so there's a lot of good ring walk, but a lot of good times with Nas. A lot of good times with him. You know, just like it would always be, you'd be out playing pool with him at 2:00 in the morning the night before he's fighting because he just wouldn't sleep. That's what we do. He'd be like, right, we're going in. Right, let's go. There was one when we boxed at Sheffield. We all went back to his house, and we all got a car each, and he gave me the Porsche Boxster. He had about 8 back then. He had.
How many fights was in this time round?
This was when I don't know. He was a world champion. And it was at Sheffield. I can't remember what fight it was. Might have been Jose Padillo. And I remember, I think Clifton had the Lamborghini. Somebody else had the Ferrari with a King X reg plate. There was 911. I think Ryan had the 911. I had the Porsche Boxster. There was literally. We drove through Sheffield.
It's like a wedding.
But all slow. We drove through Sheffield. And do you remember Capital? Oh, you're a bit young.
Come on, man.
There was a nightclub called Capital. And there was Berlin's at the front. Capital, yeah. And we drove around.
Whereabouts in town was it?
Banks, like...
Is it where the Old Embrace was? Next to John Lewis?
No, that was Kingdom. That is.
Or was it Niche?
No,
next to Niche?
It's you know where Jury's is now, on the roundabout there?
Jury's in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that roundabout, across there, that used to be Berlin's.
I know where it is. Yeah.
So there was Capital and something else there. And so we all drove through there, and it's like, You're driving through. Obviously, every reg had something to it, whether it was NAS 1, King X, something. All his reg plates were all obviously private, and you're on this procession, and everybody's looking at you thinking you're driving. Yeah, I'm driving.
You felt like you felt like you're the man.
It was good. Yeah, of course. Back then, you're a little nobody, and
From the kid from Ecclesfield.
Yeah, you're driving one of Naz's cars in a procession. Then we parked up outside. I think it was the Stacky's Hotel back then. It's Hilton now. Next to Queen Victoria Hotel.
Yes.
That one. And we all just parked, and they were parked in the hotel foyer. So in the morning when Sky came and stuff, to see all his cars all
yeah.
That's why we did it. But yeah, just little things like that. When you think about the stuff that we got up to.
How old were you at that time?
20.
Did you feel like you were on top of the world at that time? You were the man.
No, because I was always like, I've always been level-headed enough to know that I'd drive his car, then I'd have to get back in. No, I'd have to get back into my own bag of shit.
What were you driving at that time?
And then you get in and you think, oh, okay, it's not quite the same. I can't remember right at the time. It was always extravagant. I mean, I remember once we had really bad snow, and he was supposed to be training, and he was snowed in. So we rang up his man that buys him his cars, and he bought a Grand Cherokee. When the Grand Cherokees came out, the Jeep Cherokees,
the SRT, the quick one,
SUVs. And he bought one of them because he couldn't get to the gym, so he got it delivered, and he's rocked up in his new car. I've walked into the gym, I'm like, because you turn up at the gym and think, look for Naz's car, and you'd be like, oh, he's in this today, he's in that today, and I was like, what's this? I'm looking at this Jeep Cherokee. I'm thinking, what? So I've gone in, new wheels, and he threw me the car keys. He went, here, take it for a spin. And he was, I think, at the time, he was banned. He'd got somebody else to drive it. He took me the keys to take it for a spin if you want. And I remember I sat in it, and I got in it, but it was snowing everywhere. I thought, I ain't taking this for a drive, because I thought, I crash this in snow, no way, he's just got it. But it was like that. It was quite, it was, because I remember him from when he had his first car was a white Metro, and so he's gone from that to all these, but he was still where he was a bit of an inspiration towards the younger kids in the gym and coming through, where he was like, this is what, you're in the right place, this is what's available, sort of thing. But yeah, listen, he had his flip side as well. Everybody has a flip side, and the higher the bigger the superstar and the more of a genius that you have. You always say geniuses have got a little bit of flaw in them, and he did. He did. But that's just human nature. That's just him.
I used to tailor it to like the Brendan Ingle and Nas. I used to say it was like a Fergie and David Beckham-esque kind of relationship in a way.
It's not, that sounds from what I hear. That's but again, it's what I'm saying. You do tend to get that when you're bringing somebody. It's like a lot of people said that those teen years when you've got a kid, it can be difficult because that's where they have their own identity and there's rebelling a little bit, and it's whether you can get through that phase or not. If you can't, then it goes south. That's it. If you can, then you have the little bumps in the road, but you can get 100%. Through it, and everything's all good on the outside. It's just life. Boxing's the same as life. Boxing, football, real life, whatever. When you spend a lot of time with somebody, you're not always going to get on. You're not going to agree on everything that you're doing. You're gonna fall out. You're going to disagree. You might make it into a big disagreement. It might be, it might end up being something that's nasty and you can't get over it.
True.
But it's only the people that are involved in these disagreements will actually know.
So moving on to so once you finished your career at the Ingalls Gym, am I right in saying that you became a promoter?
No, I was a trainer first. I had an amateur club, then I was training professionals. I had kids that turned professional, building them up. But then I got stung with a very good kid, kind of blocked. And I was like, I need to do this myself. So I became a promoter. so I could put on shows to build my fighters up. And so I started putting on other people's fighters, and then giving slots on the show for my fighters, build them through, and I did that. And
am I right in saying there's a few names that have, one of the names actually like hits me and I'm thinking, ain't no way he's signed this guy. I don't know what was going on. I think it might have been bullshit, but we'll see what's going on. So obviously the first fight, but you was with David Hay, right?
No.
Were you on Haymaker Promotions or were you on your own
that came later. I'd promoted 32 shows before I started working with Haymaker. Okay. And they kept coming, Adam Booth, and they kept asking me for quite a while, when are you going to come and work with us? I was like, nah, I'm all right.
Where were you putting fights on?
Metrodome, Sheffield, there was an ice skate arena in Sheffield. Put on shows everywhere at that point, like quite a few places. And then I expanded. I started doing shows in Manchester. I started doing all over the place.
What was life as a promoter like?
Shit. I hated it, but I had to do it to build my fighters up, to build the records up, and then listen, Curtis Woodhouse won a British title, but I managed and promoted Curtis, putting him on my shows and putting him here, there, and everywhere. And then when I went with Haymaker, I took him to Haymaker. Same with Ryan Rhodes. Ryan Rhodes took over to Haymaker, and then they got the big, the big fights. But then Ryan Rhodes got beat by Gary Lockett, and then I brought him back on my shows before he then got his next big title fights. I had quite a lot of big name fighters that boxed on my shows. Derry Matthews won, Anthony Crawler, quite a few.
There's a big stigma on, I think the boxing community doesn't really know what happens, but hopefully you can clear this up. What happens on purse bids? And the question I always ask is, why isn't purse bids live on TV or live on somewhere where you can watch? I want to watch it.
There's purse bids going on all the time. So when a fight gets mandated, then you get a period of time for both camps to agree to the fight. Number one, you got to agree to the date, you got to agree to where the fight's going to be, and then the money. But then if you don't agree, then it'll be put out to purse bids, blind purse bid. So then basically you bid, I bid, take it to the office or whatever, and then they'll open it up, and whoever's bid the most money stages the fight.
So does everyone come into a place?
Anybody can bid for it. Anybody. It's not just it's us two that've got the fighters in. There could be 10 promoters out there that have got nothing to do with it, just think, that's a good fight. I'm going to bid for that, and I'm going to put it on my show. Anybody can bid to that fight.
Can you give us an example of like what a purse bid would cost to certain fights?
It depends. Depends on what level.
Let's say if we're talking I'm
not going to go into figures. But
okay, not into figures, but would it cost a lot? Would it?
It's always a lot.
Okay, yeah, it is a lot actually, but in terms of...
But you can, before the fight, we can sit down and say, right, okay, I can afford to pay you this. This is what's in the budget. Take the fight. And then you turn around and say, no, I want it to go to purse bids. And then you go to purse bids, and then the bid that comes in is low, and then your split of the bid means that you lost money because you'd had more if you'd agreed beforehand. She will pay what they deem from a business point of view, because promoters are all about the business. They have to be, because their revenues, the ticket sales, the sponsorships, but they pay for everything else out there.
Have you lost out on money?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is without TV.
You're gonna tell us which one you lost out on?
Fucking nearly.
One that we all kind of.
Well, nearly all the shows that promote. All these promoters that haven't got TV deals are praying that they break even.
Yeesh.
Mate, it's so hard. It's like, let's say, for instance, if you're selling tickets at £40, average £40, right, and you sell 100 tickets, you think you're a big ticket seller, you've sold 100 tickets, right? That's £4,000. That's £4,000 you brought in, right? There's no TV revenue, right? It's £4,000. Let's say it's an 8-rounder, right? And you're a decent kid. That £4,000 is basically going to pay for your opponent. Well, so what about your money? Where's that coming from? You haven't covered your money.
True.
Do you get me?
It's techie.
So multiply that throughout the card, it's expensive. So that's why, promoters need sponsors and things like that for the event to help with the costs. You know, the lighting rigs when you go into an arena, the better the production and the lighting rigs and the ring walks that you see, the more it's cost that promoter before he's even started paying for the fighters.
Would you ever do it again?
No, because I've got a family, and when I was promoting, every bit of money that I was earning from my management and training was going into promotion company, and we were skint as a family.
Nice.
And so I wouldn't do that with my family anymore.
So
because without a TV deal, you can only take your fighters so far, and then they're going to have to go with when the big fighters come in, they go to the big promoters then, because you can't pay for them. You can't afford to be paying for the big bucks. Do you get me? And also, I prefer managing and training fighters, because managing, I'm guiding a fighter's career and I'm trying to get them as much money as I can and change their lives like that. Whereas promoting, it's like you can't afford to, because you've got to run it on a shoestring, keep them working, keep them active to build a career, but you can't afford to pay them XXX that TV promoters can. Do you know what I mean?
When did Haymaker Promotions come along and merge? When did you merge? Tell us about that.
After I'd promoted 32 fights, and then they asked me if I'd come and work with them. I didn't work for them, it was work with them. And the deal was good. It was for me, it was good, and it was like, I've got a family to support. But okay. So I became head of boxing for Haymaker. They had a training facility over in northern Cyprus in Kyrenia, and we went out, and me and Adam signed a shitload of fighters and set up Haymaker. Got the deal with Setanta, did a 5-year partnership with Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions.
Read that as well.
We did shows at the O2, did shows at the MEN, everywhere, Germany for the Klitschko fight, and then Setanta, obviously, well, before the Klitschko fight, Setanta went pop.
How long into the 5-year deal did it go pop?
I can't remember, a couple of years, it weren't too long. Setanta blew all the money. I can't remember. I might be wrong. I can't remember if they blew all the money on Conor McGregor. I can't remember if it was that or not. It was somebody like that. Spent shitloads of money. And anyway, they had to pull back on a lot of the business. Now I think they're just based in Ireland now. So that obviously affects everything.
Was that right that you signed Michael Venom Page?
That's after me.
You wasn't there at that time?
No.
I read it and I thought.
After Klitschko, that's when we all went, basically, David retired. So that was that, really.
So then you went from there to working with Tony Bellew, which was the complete other side. How long after, when you stopped working from there, was it?
That was, I don't know, quite a while after, I think. Because that was quite a bit after Ryan, because Ryan retired after Canelo, and then I'd stopped training fighters. Yeah, I think that would be a little bit a while afterwards, I think.
Would you say that was the best time of your life, working with Tony Bellew, and when he won the belt, and how it all came along? And
as a coach, 7 years with Bellew we had there was a lot of hard work that went into it, a lot. You got to remember, he was a big character even back then. Red mist all the time, sparring, fighting, everything. I had to get that out of him and replace that with using your brain. And he was the most dedicated, hard-working fighter you'll ever come across. Unbelievable. And he'll flat out tell you straight away he's not the most talented fighter, naturally talented, gifted fighter there's ever been. But I'll tell you what, nobody will dig in like him. Nobody. He doesn't matter how he felt. If he was ill, if he had injuries, whatever, he would drag every little bit of energy out of him. It's what I say to the lads now. He would give that much, that his mentality is, he got every ounce of ability, energy, drive that his body could produce into his career, and that's why he became world champion. He didn't become world champion because he was the most naturally talented fighter there's ever been. He became world champion because his mental focus and capacity, and he would listen so disciplined and listen. Whatever I asked him to do, he would do. And I really enjoyed working with him because he was just, it was almost like the ideal student sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, fucking bollocked him loads. I've done it in fights on camera, but it was worse in here. The amount of times he got a bollocking off me, but it was one of those where it was like,
do it right.
I wasn't old enough to be his dad, but it was more like I was an older brother giving him. That was the kind of relationship. He'd look after me on foot because he knew that I was around. I was in the gym all day back then, and I wouldn't get myself food. I wouldn't have time for food, so he would bring me food, and I would look after him on the boxing. And he would always make sure that I'm all right. And it was that.
I can see you smiling, man, and it makes you smile.
Love his family to bits. I've watched his kids grow up from being little. And now they're massive. Two of them are bigger than him.
Allah.
Yeah. It's mad. I've watched him grow up. Still very, very close to his family. Corey, his eldest son, as well. Every time he sees me, I'll turn around, he'll tap me on the shoulder, give me a big hug whenever we see him at a show. Little things like that are priceless. Because we've been, we haven't worked together. What is it? 5 years, I think it is, since he retired. Maybe more now, but. After all that length of time, and like his kids growing up during that length of time, there's still that, where that respect and that bond that's still there. Do you know what I mean?
It's good. So while you were working with Bellew, the Creed movie came about.
Yeah.
While you were working with him,
yeah.
Talk to us how that came about.
That was funny because I think we were going into, we'd been somewhere filming for Sky, I think. And we called into a Nando's on the way, and he said, I've got to tell you something. I'm like, go on. He said, I got a phone call. He says, I'm in a movie. I'm like, what? So basically what happened was, when he got the phone call, he thought it was his mate winding him up. Everton had just got beat, and he's a mad Everton fan. Yeah. Like, mad, crazy. So he's pissed off in a bad mood. And when he gets a phone call saying that Everton, saying that is this Tony Bellew, and we want you to be, this is want you to be in a film basically. He told him to F off and put the phone down. But luckily they called back a couple of times, and it was Bill Kenwright, Everton chairman, rang him up and says, Tony, have you had a phone call? I was like, yeah, pick up the phone. This is legit. So that's how he got the phone call. That's got told about it. He ended up going over there. I think he was spent six months filming. Might have been 6, might have been 3. I can't remember. Over in Philadelphia filming.
Did you go with him? Well,
no.
Did you get to meet any of them?
Well, yeah, at the premiere. Looked after me at the premiere. And for Creed 2. And Creed 3.
All of them? You went to all premieres?
Yeah, I've been to all premieres, yeah.
You got to meet Michael B. Jordan and all of them?
Twice, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bougie, yeah.
But more important, my kids.
Yeah, it's for the kids.
No, my kids are better. They're the ones that got the photos as well. It was a surreal thing because when he was telling us, I'm in next Rocky movie, Creed. I was like, okay. And we was like, he was telling me what the part was, so I knew it was big. But Eddie and everybody thought it was going to be like a little part.
Little cameo.
And everybody was like, yeah. And nobody was really taking it seriously. They just thought it was going to have a little cameo in it. But I knew how big the part was because I knew how long he'd been out there filming. And we were still in touch and stuff like that. And I know how long his filming days were. So when we went to the premiere and watched it, wow. I'll tell you what, proud. Sitting at the cinema and seeing my fighter, like main character in the film, that was wicked. I'm
guessing. And funny enough, about another fight, I know it's going to wrap up. You're training Ollie Mers right now, am I right in saying?
No, he's on tour, and I've done a few days training with him. Yeah, we get on really well. But I'm not training Ollie Mers.
Does he want to fight? Because I've got a guy that wants to fight him, who was also in that world.
Who's that?
He's my friend. He's like a TV presenter. He's called Kyle Walker. He interviews. He works for Premier League and stuff like that.
Does he work for Sky?
Yes.
Yeah, I know Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker look at this. Yeah, do you want to see this? He says to me, look at this. Can you tell Ollie Mers? Look at this. Wait 1 second. Kyle Walker says to me, He goes, get the contract on the table. You see this? I'm not even joking. He says, get the contract on the
I'll
table.
tell you what.
FaceTime him.
I think Ollie's a bit too big to do
on.
that. He's a little bit too big to do that. He loves boxing. Do you know what? He's very good, to be fair, and he can punch. So Kyle wants to be careful what he wishes for.
He's shot. Yeah, Kyle, you're to this. Kyle's my guy, you know.
Ollie can punch, man. Trust me. And in the few days that we worked together, his improvement was like, whoa. Because he's a student of it. He loves the sport, and he's got so much respect for the sport. He knows it's not just easy. Oh, I'm good on pads, so it means I can fight. It's something he enjoys doing. It's a passion. I don't think he'll fight. I don't think
Listen,
he'll fight.
my boy's ready. He's ready.
If he does,
we'll fight with misfits, you know.
Bash your mate up.
Are you mad? No way.
I'm telling you.
I've got Kyle. He's Mr. the King of High Rocks, you know. You don't mess him about.
King of what?
Have you seen the High Rocks? You know, there's like a new thing going on where it's called High Rocks.
Right, okay.
You do like burpees.
That's a bit different than getting punched, mate.
No, but it's you.
Oh my God! He's like one of these guys.
No, I'm not saying
because I can bicep curl.
No, there's no speaking bicep curls on there. It's just more like it's more cardio. So the same boxing cardio you do there.
No.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, Kyle's got this.
Don't even compare. Because I can do burpees and cardio and shit.
Do you know what it is, Dave? Yeah, my boy's all action. Ain't no words out here.
How many fights you had?
It'll be 1-0 soon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you know how many messages like that I get?
But yeah, man, all good. Thank you, Dave, man.
Nice one.
Oh, nice. A good chat.